Anthony Faison says he was set up in a murder rap. His only way out of a life sentence is to find someone on the outside who will catch the real killer.
I said, wait a minute. You're not supposed to be in here.
At 4:30 a.m. on March 14, 1987, a cab driver is parked outside the Albany housing projects in crack-ridden Crown Heights, Brooklyn. Shots pierce the night, and the cabbie slumps over the wheel.
Shootings were very common at that time in the Albany houses. It was pretty rough. You know, there were a lot of gangs and drug deals going on and things of that nature.
Just another night in the Albany housing project. Construction worker Anthony Faison doesn't bat an eye until a few days later.
That Monday, right after coming home from work, I walked into the lobby and one of the neighbors said, you know, there were some detectives around here looking for you. I said, for what? So we don't know, but we think it might have something to do with the cab that was shot out there the other night.
4 days later, Anthony's friend Charles Shepard, who he was with the night the cab driver was shot, is arrested as an accomplice in the murder.
This terrified me because I assumed that if they was looking for him and arrested him, that they'll be trying to do the same thing to me.
He's right. Soon, the word on the street is that the police are building a case against him as the shooter.
I didn't know what to do. I mean, I'm 20 years of age. My daughter's 4 years old. I'm working. I have a sister. Here I am. I have police looking for me to arrest me for killing someone in front of my own home. I was terrified.
Coming up around the projects at that time, it's kind of hard to beat that. You know, if the police think you did something, they usually come after you like you did it. Once they point their finger at you, you're pretty much going down.
Then, on June 16th, 3 months after the cab driver was found dead, the moment Anthony has been dreading arrives.
I heard someone banging on the door, so I came up and I said, how can I help you? The officer turned around and said, Anthony Faison, yeah. And he walked over to me and began to handcuff me. I was booked, arraigned, given $1 million bail. $1 million. It's my first offense.
The police tell Anthony they have an eyewitness to the shooting, but one of the cops at the station says he's not sold on the eyewitness's testimony.
I'll never forget this. He says something's not right with this case, with this witness. Something's not right. You need to go get a lawyer. He told me right then and there.
Anthony is assigned a public defender, but spends the next year in the Brooklyn House of Detention awaiting trial. His trial begins in May 1988. On the first day, the prosecution calls the eyewitness Anthony had been told about, another Albany Houses resident named Carolyn Van Buren.
I was dumbfounded. I said, I don't know this woman. We don't talk. We don't hang out. What reason would she have to accuse me? I don't get it.
Carolyn Van Buren testifies that she saw Anthony and Charles Shepard rob the cab driver and then watched as Anthony shot him through the driver's side window.
She's 1 block away. Her testimony should not have been taken seriously by anyone.
After 3 days, the defense rests and the jury begins deliberating.
We were in the back in the holding cells for about 6 hours, and then the court officer came and took us in. The jury came in and sat down, and the judge asked them, did they reach a verdict? And said yes.
Judge Robert Kreinler asks the jury to announce their verdict.
And they found me guilty on all counts. Possession of a firearm, robbery, and murder. Intentional murder. I was told that I had passed out. I just remember waking up, walking into the holding cell.
Anthony realizes he has to find someone who believes him and who will uncover the truth.
This is when I made the decision that I would have to fight this case in a way that has never been fought before, or I was going to die.
In May 1988, Anthony Faison and his friend Charles Shepard are convicted of the murder of a cab driver in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, a murder Anthony swears he didn't commit.
Intentional murder, felony murder, underlining felony robbery. Incredible.
Anthony is sentenced to 20 years to life in prison. He is sent to Comstock, a tough maximum security jail in upstate New York.
No trees, no grass, concrete, walls. I was in there 21 years old with some well-known criminals. My third day in there, I seen a man get killed. Oh no.
Anthony protests his innocence to the other prisoners and is mocked in return.
I didn't kill anyone, I wasn't there, I didn't see it, had nothing to do with it.
Finally, an older inmate takes him aside.
He says, if I was to take you through a walk around this yard right now, 95% of the guys out there gonna tell you they're innocent. Nobody cares if you're innocent or not. It's not gonna get you no leeway in here. Nobody gonna help you. You innocent when you prove yourself innocent.
But proving himself innocent is going to take a lot of work.
I realized at that time that there would have to be a transformation of my life or that I would die in prison.
Anthony begins making tough choices. Choices that will mean his survival.
I said, I'm not going to do any of the things that I see other people in prison do. If I see a guy who's been in prison for the last 24 months and he played chess every day, I said, well, I don't want to learn chess. If I see a guy who sat around and used drugs all day, I wouldn't do that. I come outside in the yard, I see everybody playing basketball, fighting and arguing over basketball. I never played basketball.
But isolating himself from the general population is just the first step. Anthony recognizes that he will never unlock the prison doors without the right keys.
I would have to educate myself to enable me to interpret the law as it applies to me in my criminal case.
Those were the tools that he needed to have, and I knew he was going to acquire them.
I didn't have a high school diploma at the time, so I joined the school program, and within 6 months I had my diploma.
Anthony enrolls in undergraduate college courses. He also gets a paralegal certificate.
I go to the school from 9 to 2, come in, we lock in for the count, come back out about 5 to go to programs. I'm in college from 5 to 7. We come back in, you lock in at 9.
Lock-in is when the frustration hits Anthony hard. He relives the evening of the cab driver's murder. What happened that night to put him here?
I was very bitter, very upset, and I knew that that type of mentality in this type of environment gets you two things: killed or in the hole for a lot of years.
Some prisoners reach for a weapon or a drug to deal with anger and despair. Anthony Faison makes a different choice. He reaches for a pen.
When they closed that door and turned the lights off, that's when I began to write letters protesting my innocence. I started from the beginning stages of the interaction with the police department and the community. I contacted the Internal Affairs, the FBI, Department of Investigation, the precinct, the district attorney, the judge. I write all night long until the sun come up by pencil or pen, no typewriter. And I would write 25 to 30 letters every night.
The former high school dropout starts spending his days combing the prison law library.
I requested any material that the police department had that was exculpatory in nature, any statements surrendered by any witnesses in the case, and any fact findings that the police department may have had.
During the next 4 years, Anthony writes more than 25,000 letters. While Anthony searches from inside prison for someone to reopen the investigation, his sister Evelyn supports him and holds his family together back home in Brooklyn.
Evelyn, she's always been my best friend. She's always been the one that gives me the advice, the ones that I could depend on.
He definitely relied on me for his correspondence and things of that nature, basically through finances. If he didn't have the money that we were sending him, he couldn't buy envelopes and stamps and legal searches that he had to do because there were legal fees involved.
While many prisoners' cells contain family photos or hidden contraband, Anthony's is unique. It houses a meticulous index of all of his correspondence.
Every person that I wrote, I logged in a book. I wrote the date, what I wrote them. If I get a response from him, I take my yellow highlighter, highlight it. Yellow means he responded. Put the date and the comments of his response.
In 1999, Anthony has written more than 70,000 letters, but no one has been willing to help him find the real killer. Then, one day when he is in the law library, he notices something he has never seen before.
I walk back up to the bulletin board and I see a card that says Michael Race, private investigator, retired NYPD detective, 32 years. For some reason that card was calling me. So I snatched it off the board. I thought if anybody could help me, this would be the man. He was a retired police detective, so he knows the streets and he can actually go out and investigate.
Anthony spends 4 days composing a letter